I'd like to call the April 27th Village Board meeting to order. To begin, can you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to
to the
flag
flag of the United States of America
and
to the
the
republic
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, all right. Before we take roll call, George, you want to lay the groundwork for the meeting, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if I can ask everybody to mute yourself, if I hear any background noise, I'll probably do a mute all throughout the meeting. If I do hear anything, don't take it personally, just trying to eliminate some background noise. But no, this is our third Village Board Zoom meeting. Just want to go through a few ground rules and then turn it back over to the mayor so we can have a good meeting. Obviously, due to Governor Pritzker's recent stay-at-home executive order that was just recently extended, and the mayor will go through that a little bit further detail later on in the agenda. But the board will be holding all of our meetings on electronically on Zoom or a similar platform for the month of April and more than likely through the month of May. Couple things that we just wanted to make note beforehand. We allow for plenty of opportunities for public comment. You're able to send in. And I'm going to do a mute all here. You're able to send in comments prior to the meeting. We did not receive anything today, but you do have the ability to watch the meeting live without participation. That's on our village's YouTube page. But you also have the ability to participate live during this meeting, during specific sections of the meeting. So I will go through that information now. And we'll go from there. Hold on just a second. Here's the format of the agenda. As I mentioned, I'll just go through the rules. We'll have consent agenda, mayor's report, clerk's report, a couple of updates, and then the audience participation section. Couple of things to note on audience participation. Again, I mentioned written comments prior. There were none. There's one section of the agenda that is eligible for audience participation today. That will be under the audience comments section. The way we're going to handle it, a little bit different than a meeting here in person, obviously, is we have to be able to monitor who wants to speak. So just a couple of tips here as we go through that during the audience participation section. You don't have to put your hand up now, but we're going to utilize the raise your hand feature of Zoom. And from there, you leave your hand up if you want to speak, and I will lower your hand and mention your name and unmute you, and then you'll be able to speak similar to a regular meeting. There's a couple of different ways to do that at the bottom of the screen or top, depending on where it is on your screen. Manage participation or participants, you click on that button. On the right-hand side, there's three dots where you click on and you are able to raise your hand. If you are participating only via phone, *9 raises your hand, and I'll be able to see your hand and mention your name and I'll unmute you to make your comments. That is later in the agenda. For now, I will turn it over to the mayor on roll call, and he'll move forward from there.
Great, thanks, George. Okay, roll call. Charlene, do you want to take that for me? Charlene, you might be on mute.
She dropped off. No big deal. I could do it for.
Okay, go ahead, George.
Yeah, I'll do Trustee Stapleton.
Well,
Just mentioned present. Trustee Snagowski,
Here,
Trustee Maher,
Here.
Trustee Kwasniewski,
Here.
Trustee McLafferty. Here, and Trustee Kittredge.
here.
All right, we will get Charlene. We'll see if she pops back on, but if you want to go through, we can work our way through the meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Next up, we have our consent agenda, which consists of the following items. We have the approval of minutes from the April 13th Village Board meeting, as well as approval of disbursements. We have an ordinance 0-2020 fiscal year 2020-21 fee ordinance. We have an ordinance 0-2120 ordinance amending ordinance 725 establishing a pay plan and schedule of authorized positions. We have a resolution R-1420 authorizing approval of an asset disposition service agreement with propertyroom.com. We have a resolution for R-15-20 for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. Can I have a motion, please?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Snikowski. I didn't quite hear the second one. Was that trustee Kittredge?
Yeah,
Great, thank you. To approve the
Second.
items on the consent agenda. Any questions or comments concerning the consent agenda, please? Okay, no questions or comments. Can we have a roll call, please, Charlene?
Yes, I understand that we can do it by voice vote.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I think that would be easier. So all in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the consent agenda carries. Next up, we have the mayor's report, and we have a very special addition to the mayor's report. I need a motion. We have in honor of Mayor Joe Forsley and his wife Bernice. We have a proclamation on their behalf of their 70th anniversary. Very excited about that. Can I have a motion for the proclamation, please?
So
So
moved by
moved.
Okay, we have again, I cannot tell who's doing the motions. First motion was by,
Stapleton.
thank you, trustee.
Snagowski.
And Snagowski.
Here,
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and read this special proclamation. Whereas on April 23rd, 1950, Joseph Forsley and Bernice Elias were joined in holy matrimony at All Saints Greek Orthodox Church in Joliet, Illinois. Bernice was born and raised in Joliet, and Joe was born and raised in Lamont. And whereas on April 23rd, 2020, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Forsley celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary with their family and a drive-by parade of vehicles. And whereas we celebrate not only their commitment to each other, but also their love of their family, their strong faith, and their tremendous contributions and dedication to the village of Lamont. Joe and Bernice raised 3 children, Sharon, Mark, and Sam, have 7 grandchildren, Matt, Michelle, Michael, Sarah, Nicholas, and Elizabeth, and 3 great-grandchildren, Grace, Jack, and Hannah. And whereas these 2 special people have been involved in the Lamont community for decades. Bernice worked at Lamont National Bank for 25 years, was a member of the Virginia Reed Park Women's Club, and was involved in church organizations and the local town newspaper, The Met. And whereas Joe worked at Argonne National Laboratory for 30 years, served in World War II, where he was stationed in Japan, and is a member of the VFW. Joe served as president and board member of All Saints Greek Orthodox Church, was a founding member of the Father of Wilco Career, a member of the Lockport Masonic Lodge 538, Scottish Rite Mason member, a founding father of Lamont Indian Backers, now called the Blue Gold Backers, a board member and coach of Lamont Little League, and was a board member of the Franciscan Village Board of Directors. And if that wasn't enough, whereas Joe served also on the Lamont Township High School Board from 1969 to 1980, the Lamont Planning Commission from 79 to 83, served as a village board member from 1983 to 86, and was mayor of the village of Lamont from 1989 to 1992. Joe was the Grand Marshal of the Keep It Tall Parade in 1994 and was named Lamont Citizen of the Year in 1999. Whereas we celebrate 70 years that Joe and Bernice obviously shared with the entire town, which they so love. They raised their family, formed numerous friendships, and continually contribute to making Lamont the great community that it is. We honor them. We thank them. And many more happy years of making fond memories together. Now, therefore, I, John Nagowski, Mayor of Lamont, in behalf of the entire Village Board of Trustees and the entire community, hereby congratulate Mr. and Mrs. Joe Forsley on their 70th wedding anniversary and express our sincere gratitude for their years of dedication to the people of Lamont. So Joe and Bernice, we wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations to you and your family. I believe we have several family members on the call with us tonight. So on behalf of the entire board, we congratulate you and we thank you for all your service and love, not only within your family, but to the community as well. So thank you to you and your family. We appreciate everything both of you and your family has done for our great town. All right, with that, we have to have a clap online, but in person, we'll make it much better once things get back to normal here. So again, congratulations. And speaking of getting back to normal, we've received several phone calls about the stay-at-home order, and obviously frustration is kicking in. We're hearing much about trying to open up the businesses in Lamont, and I understand that frustration. We all do, and unfortunately, these are executive orders from our governor, and they are just that. They're orders from a higher authority, and we do not have the local authority to act against that guidance that has been given to us. As a village, we have been and will continue to have to follow these executive orders by the governor. We understand that there is, science and statistics and good intent behind the governor's decisions, and the decisions are being made with the best interest of the health and safety of the residents of Illinois. In addition, the more everyone is in compliance as far as social distancing, hopefully the sooner we can get over this crisis and get back to probably what is going to be a new normal. So again, we continue to work with our regional partners to ensure our voices are heard by the governor and the governor's office. We've had many phone calls within the mayor COGs that we participate, one of them being the DePage Mayor COG, which is led by Mayor Chirico. He is the mayor of the city of Naperville. He leads the DePage caucus. That caucus has been very vocal, as well as myself, as far as the needs and the necessary communication that we need to have in order to be able to articulate when our businesses will open up. And again, we are working with the governor and his staff. Obviously, the plan and that we needs to be balanced and obviously be sound with public health practices. It's intended that this plan will provide input and guidance to the governor's office over the next coming weeks. We will continue to work with these regional partners in formulating the output that is beneficial to not only our village, but to villages around us again. So again, in the short term, we must rely on the state of Illinois to give us proper guidance during these difficult times. Regarding the extended order, the order does allow some relaxation in the initial orders. Again, the extended order is now through May 31st. And the governor mentioned that according to the statistics and the modeling they have, that Illinois should be peaking in mid-May. However, in addition to this, there was relaxation of initial orders, including provisions to allow for golf courses, dog grooming, state parks, as far as being able to open. Retail stores not designated as essential services and operations may reopen to fulfill telephone and online orders through pickup outside and store delivery. The new order also includes new requirements to wear face covering masks, and that should be done in stores such as grocery stores. So again, the more we comply, the quicker we can get back to some sense of normal. There's more detail to the order, and we will post this information when we have it available to share. We are told that more is more information should be coming this week. Again, this is fluid. As we speak, I know there was a lawsuit filed by one of our, I believe, state representatives that was looking for a cease to the governor's executive orders. A judge held it up, but that only applies to that specific individual. We have to continue to comply to the governor orders, and that is what we will continue to do. So again, hang in there. This has been going on obviously for several weeks. It's getting warm out. It's getting frustration is kicking in. But again, we've been doing a great job as a village. I know the chief is going to comment on this later on, but please hang in there. And, again, as the saying says, it takes a village, and we've been doing a great job. So please hang in there. In addition, collections continue to be taken, both food and personal items for our food pantries. There's more information on our website and Facebook pages for this. Also, Hope and Friendship has several drop-off locations, and they take contributions as well, both food and monetary. They do a great job. So please drop these items off at the Lamont Township, which is on 1115 Warner Avenue. There are several families within our community, and as this continues, that number continues to go up. They need our support. So please support, and we've been doing a great job there as well. So appreciate everyone's contributions. Also, as far as event cancellations, it's safe to say everything being held in May has been and should be canceled. This include our Lamont Gardens Club May 9th perennial sale, as well as the May 30th spring recycling event. We will continue to evaluate events during the summer. We're in close contact with our regional partners and also our Lamont agency partners to discuss events that the rest of the summer may hold. We recognize that canceling everything is not the preferred option right now, but we want to be safe and practical as we move forward and plan. We will continue to have those discussions, and we'll be creating a running list of the events canceled or postponed on our website. And just to add more to that, a lot of these events, take several weeks in advance, obviously to plan, but also to cancel. So some of these events may have to be canceled well in advance of their date. That's just due to monetary reason and due to the contracts that are signed. But again, stay tuned on that. Also, regarding the 2020 census, there are three, they need to be completed for the 2020 census. There's a questionnaire. You can complete it online, by phone, or by mail. If you have not completed it by phone or online, you should be receiving a form in the mail. The Census Bureau will be mailing forms out on April 27th through May 9th, so please keep an eye on that. As I said in our last meeting, COVID-19 has most definitely impacted our financial situation. The need is so great at this time for you to complete and submit your 2020 census so that we can receive our fair share of the federal and state funding. The current podcast, Inside Lamont, I was involved in one of the first ones. The latest, greatest one involves two Lamont High School students, senior Aaron Crispo and junior Will Gorski. They gave their perspectives on how COVID-19 has affected the remainder of their 2019-2020 school year. We feel for those seniors, this is always a special part of a student's life, and to have their last year be in limbo and canceled like this, we feel for them. You can find this out on Spotify by searching Inside Lamont, and we have links to our website, so please check them out. Also, again, most of this information is located on our website at Lamont, Illinois, US/coronavirus information. The website gives updates several times during the week on these items and other relevant information that can impact our residents. Another communication channel is called Stay Informed, our e-messaging via text messages or emails. We've been sending out an end of the week information update on Fridays with various topics. If you have not signed up to receive this, please check out lamontil.us and stay informed on this. You could also check us out on cable, UVerse 99 or Comcast Channel 6. So that is a mouthful there. Again, we want to wish Mayor Forsley and Bernice congratulations on their 70th wedding anniversary. Okay, next up, we have the clerk's report. Charlene, do you want to kick that off?
All right. First of all, I think we need to go back and I'm sure everyone's in favor of passing that proclamation for Mr. and Mrs. Forsley, but we need to vote on it. And that would be an all in favor vote.
Good. Yeah, all in favor of approving and passing the proclamation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we're official. It's in the
We're
books.
good. Okay. All right, I'll begin my report. Ordinance 0-22-20, adopting the FY 2020 to 2021 operating and capital improvement budget for the Village of Lamont.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved, McClafferty.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by,
Snagowski.
okay, thanks, guys. Okay, Chris, you want to take the lead on this, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our last step for the board approval process. After this, we will be filing the ordinances with the counties and begin submitting for the budget presentation award to GFOA. As we have said, we started this process back in November of 2019. We held a public hearing date on March 9th after several workshops. We're all basically done to approve it. And then the COVID-19 caused major disruption. So we went back to the board, cut about $1.2 million out of this budget, which is approximately 10% for revenue loss that we anticipate. We are being conservative, or we're trying to be conservative with what the information we are holding right now. So then we discussed the new revised budget. It was online as well as on the second draft. We discussed it on April 20th. So this is our final budget. We can amend it. We will be monitoring everything over the summer. We can amend it as needed. We did cut out, like I said, about $1.2 million on sales tax and income tax. There is there's lags. A 3-month lag, and income tax also there are some lags as well. So this is our best projection. We are moving forward with our capital plan, and we are moving forward with some development initiatives. The downtown, the 83 Main, and the Forge. So that's what's presented to the board today is the ordinance of the annual operating budget and capital plan. Our next steps are basically to the operational budget to approve it today. You already approved the fee ordinance and the authorized position and pay plan. And like I said before, between June and August, we will be monitoring everything. We will be discussing at the committee of the whole. We'll see more of the impacts on the COVID-19 and when everything starts opening up again, what the impact will be. And then in September, we do decide, we are going to, over the summer, look at maybe transitioning to a budget calendar year versus a fiscal year. So then everything can be in line together. And we will do a transition plan to the board in September.
Thanks, Chris. You alluded to it being a conservative budget and trying to estimate the revenue shortfalls. Can you just share with everyone when would be the first month that we would actually see revenue shortfalls? Meaning, even though they're happening right now, there's a lag in when we actually see that shortfall, correct?
Yes, and so the May receipts, or in May, we should receive some of the sales tax receipts that were collected back in March. However, March, you only had a very slight time where everything was closed, and at that time, there was a lot of purchasing going on as well. So I have a feeling where the first time we're actually gonna see anything will probably be June for the sales tax, because that will include your April. For the income tax, I'm anticipating that we are going to see a trend down on income tax in May because they extended the due date for the income tax, and the income tax, the due date is April 15th, and they extended it. So we won't see the large increases that we see, the spikes in May. So we'll see that starting in May on the income tax, and then the other ones it's all going to trickle in, but I have a feeling we're going to only start seeing it in June and July.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions or comments for Chris? Okay, no questions or comments by the trustees. Can we have a roll call, please?
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
McClafferty,
Yes.
Nagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton. Stapleton,
You may be muted. Hold on just a second.
Okay, I finally unmuted. I did have a question to get through, and that question was, how about motor fuel tax? What does that?
So on the motor fuel tax, I did not reduce any of it as of yet. And we will see a reduction in that because there's a lower consumption. And that once again will probably be more in June and July. The reason why I did not reduce it is there's another portion of it that I really did not budget for it. And that was when the new budget came out in July, they increased the amount. Well, they created another section of it. And I did not budget for that because I did not know if it was going to stick. So really, in essence, we're still probably on target on the motor fuel. And we do have probably about $600,000 in the fund balance on that. So I will lower it when we see it, but yes, we will see a reduction in the one section of it.
Okay, Stapleton votes yes.
Thank you.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. Thank you, Chris.
The next item if passed this evening would be ordinance O-23-20. And this is granting a variation to 17.07.020 F2 of the Lamont Unified Development Ordinance to allow a front-loaded garage to be accessed from the street rather than the existing alley. And that's located at 718 Chatsky Street in Lamont.
Okay, need a motion, please.
Done.
Okay, look like motion by trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee Stapleton. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Jason or Mark, do you want to take the lead on this? You might be on mute right
That was
now.
going to be Mark Herman. Let me just unmute him here. Mark, are you still there? Might be unmute. Hold on just a second. Hey, Jason, I think maybe Mark will jump in here. Do you want to jump in and?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, there we go.
You got him.
Oh, I had the Bluetooth. Maybe that wasn't working, but yeah, sorry about that. So the applicants, Ellie and Susan Zajac, they're the property owners of the property at 718 Chachki. They're requesting the variation to allow a new home on the property, which would access their driveway would access Chachki Street, not the alley, which is located to the north, which would be required in the R4A zoning district. This item was, public hearing was held on April 1st, 2020 with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They made a unanimous recommendation to approve the proposed variation. And this item was discussed at the April 20th committee of the whole meeting last week. Staff recommends approval of the.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Any other questions or comments for Mark or by the trustees? Okay, no questions or comments by the trustees. Can we have a roll call, please?
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
McClafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
yes,
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge.
yes,
Okay, motion approved.
The next item of this evening is a resolution, and that would be Resolution R-16-20. And this is approving a proposal from SHI International Corporation for the purchase of software and hardware.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved, McClafferty.
Second, Kwasniewski.
second, Kittredge,
Okay, got a motion by McClafferty, seconded, squeezed in there by trustee Kwasniewski. Who's taking the lead on this
I am.
one?
I am.
Thanks, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have, this is a resolution approving the purchase to SHI Corporation for $66,892. This is for the upgrade and for replacing some switches that are 10 years old to ensure our integrity of our IT systems. What I did not do, and I apologize in the memo, this is a waiving of the bid of a formal bid process. However, we did our outside consultant, IT consultant, did receive 3 quotes for the switches and for services upgrades from SHI, Insight, and CDW. The quotes ranged from $66,892 to $74,830. SHI was the lowest quote. We recommend doing this in the ensuring there's nothing wrong with our systems right now. Everything, it's 10 years old. We like to keep all our IT systems up and running for the integrity and the security, especially in this day and age. And also we've seen some lag times and some and it's not as supported as a new upgrade would be, that something that's 10 years old. So we recommend it being upgraded and to award the contract to SHI.
And Chris, can you just share what the actual software system pertains to?
George, you want to help out? He's muted.
It's more so the infrastructure than software system. There is support systems on the infrastructure, but it's the switches, the server firewall, anything related to the servers. So it's more the infrastructure of the buildings of Village Hall and the police department. Last time, as Chris mentioned, in the police department, where we're trying to where we're rotating or migrating all of our servers to, because they have pretty substantial generator backup, and there's enough bandwidth over there. Those systems were put in place when the police station was built over 10 years ago now. So everything performed pretty well, but it's time for an upgrade to ensure that the system is secure going forward.
Good, thanks. Any other questions or comments by the trustee? No questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
McClafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
yes,
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge.
yes,
Okay, motion approved.
The next item I have would also be a resolution passed this evening, and the number would be R-17-20. And this is authorizing award of a contract for the 2020 water main project.
Okay, need a motion, please.
Snagowski, so moved,
second McClafferty,
Okay, motion by trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee McClafferty. Ralph, are you taking the lead on this?
I am, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for the 2020 water main project. We had 14 bids, which is fantastic. It gives us a great price when we go into this. The water main projects this year will be Florence Street from Roberta to Wend, Warner Street from Weimer to just past Roberta, and Singer Avenue from Logan to Norton. Out of the 14 bids, we had the low bid of $630,389, which is $117,054 under the estimate by the engineer. Staff recommendation is to give Earthworks out of Batavia the contract to do this water main work. And I do anticipate this work to start at the third week or the fourth week of May. And we'll finish up hopefully by the 4th of July.
Great, thanks, Ralph. Any questions or comments for Ralph?
I have one question, Ralph. Have we used this company before?
We have, Dave. We used them on State Street back in the late 90s. They are very qualified to do this type of work.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, no questions or comments. Roll call, please.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
McClafferty,
yes.
Snagowski,
yes,
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Charlene. Next up, village attorney report. Do we have, is Mike on? Do we have a village?
I
attorney
am. I'm here.
report? Hi, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, most everything was covered already by either yourself or George regarding the changes in the law and the executive order. So I have nothing further to add. But been a busy month.
Say the least. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, George, anything on village administrator report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just had a couple comments and talk about the next month ahead and how we're handling it. As I mentioned last meeting, focusing on continuing to serve our community during the crisis and beyond, keeping staff healthy is #1 priority, and make sure they're prepared to serve the community. Tracking and monitoring our revenues and expenses as this time period goes forward. I think a couple of the items on the agenda tonight that you might have seen. It's an example of with revenues in decline, you don't stop spending on everything. You just prioritize and you get a little bit more focused. We still want to focus in on our infrastructure, our security, as we did with the IT program. We're going to see a full capital plan here in Lamont, either pay now or you pay later type mentality. And so that's kind of where we're going with. We're going to continue to engage with our partners, as the mayor mentioned. We're working with our various council of governments and trying to ensure that we have a voice in Springfield as this thing continues to evolve. There could be an opportunity for just for additional funding from a state and federal, more than likely a federal program. I haven't seen those numbers come in for the localities and for local governments or the state yet, but just monitoring those different aspects of the laws that are being passed out. And lastly, just understanding and communicating the executive orders within the governor's handing down and just trying to interpret them. A lot of that will fall locally on the police department, and Chief Maytown will have an update later on. There could be updates over the next month, and just doing our best to better understand them. As we move forward, business continues here at the village. We try our best to stay safe while doing so. When I call out the meeting schedule, May 6th, there's a planning and zoning meeting. May 11th is our next village board meeting. May 18th is our next village board committee, the whole meeting, and then our heritage and outdoor recreation committee meets on May 20th through the month of May, and probably beyond. We'll be using electronic means to similar to this to continue to meet, but we're seeing good attendance. I think people were able to see the exhibits, understand what's happening, And then, believe it or not, Memorial Day is right behind the corner. So May 25th, there'll be no village board meeting. And we'll see where we are at the end of May. And again, it just what we're doing, informing and engaging with our residents the best we can. I'll just touch on a few points here today before I turn it back over to the mayor. We have a survey that's out right now through Polco through Polco, just trying to better understand the impacts of COVID-19. Again, that's our system that's asked for your name and your zip code. That's really just for validity and to ensure you're not being counted more than once. So just please sign up for that. That's good information for us. It's also a benchmark against the rest of the state and country for other communities that are using Polco, which is important for us to tell our story. And again, our Facebook page, our web page, we continue to add more and more in Lamont Community Channel, on UVerse Channel 99, Comcast Channel 6. We're able to copy all our information over on those platforms as well. So please try to stay informed. If there's anything we're missing, please feel free to contact myself or Linda or Mayor Gofsky, and we'll try to get the information out. The other quick mention I'll make, and it's just, you'll see it on our website or social media. Mayor mentioned a couple of these items, just any way we can to support the business community, support our residents during these tough times. The mayor mentioned the podcast series. There's been 3 now, one of them more business related. The last one, the high school kids being interviewed, and we'll continue to do that weekly. If you have any ideas, please let us know. We've done a couple gift card giveaways for our downtown and uptown restaurants, trying to keep them as stable as possible going forward. And then also our Lamont Cares webinar series that Jason Berry and his staff and the mayor that we've been kicked off the last 3 Fridays, where we've had over 50 different people on those calls. And don't have to be a business owner. If you're a resident, please check in. Good information. We're trying to get in touch with the proper resources right now. There's resources available at the federal level, but how do you match them up with the right people? We're just trying to do our part to get you in touch with where the money's at. Real quick before I just make a couple more comments, another item that we're supporting via our marketing support and other ways we can. Just there's other buy local programs, but this is something innovative that a local business owner started, and there's about 35 businesses in town who are part of this program, where they're donating gift cards to a lottery that's going to happen here in the next few weeks. All proceeds will be going to local businesses. And this is just another example of the community helping the community out during these difficult times. So please take a look. It's on our webpage, but lamontlottery.com. Again, we're supporting it through just getting the word out. Really good, innovative programs, and everyone's stepping to the plate. If you get a chance, at Lamont through these periods are actually been in the news a couple times. The Sun Times, there's a really good article, and we'll put this on our website as well, about the village's murals and arts and entertainment component to what we offer here in Lamont. A good article in the Sun Times talking about our murals and how it's tied to history. Another couple of quick items, and then the Southtown had an article talking about one of the last pandemics back in 1903 and how Lamont was involved. Just a really good, interesting to see Lamont in these regional newspapers. And lastly, I'll quickly mention there's a really good article or video, I should say, on NPR. It's a 5-minute video. Please take your opportunity to view it. It's a Lamont resident, owns a small business elsewhere, but just a really it's a great example of what type of talent we have in town in terms of business people who want to help out. There's a 5-minute video about individual who through the COVID-19 crisis, his business started to have to look in different directions to help out, and he was able to get in touch with the right people to, I think it was a little bit over 1 million masks for the state of Illinois. He was able to procure, and just a really good story. And part of the story that we're trying to kind of, it's funny, in the video, they talk about Lamont being so small, it's not even on the map. We're going to try to change that over the next few years, but take a look at it. It really just highlights the type of people we have in town, and really a great story if you get a chance to check it out. Lastly, before I turn it over to the board, I did miss a couple meetings. The Downtown Focus Group is going to be meeting on May or March, May 13th. May 13th, it'll be a Zoom meeting again. It's another meeting I missed on the screen, but we'll put that information out to the community, but I wanted to get that out. Lastly, just before I turn it over back to the mayor, if there's anything you need, us to do, for to be a resident, a business, please let us know. We're interested in new ideas, and we're just trying to get the information out and engage with our community as much as possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks.
You're good.
Next up, any board reports? How about staff reports? Chief,
I have, okay.
Ralph, you want to start or?
go ahead, Ralph.
Sure, I'll start. Thank you. First off, I want to congratulate the Forsleys on such a amazing feat with 70 years of marriage. Joe took a chance on me in 1988, and I'm still here. And no offense, Mayor Goski, but Joe's the man. I appreciate it, Joe. Second, the Forge is putting a bridge in later this week. The bridge is supposed to be delivered on Wednesday afternoon. So the north side of the canal at Olin Chemical, that road will be closed all the way to the basically the very east end, so they can get that bridge in and get it set. The closures are going to be temporary, and they'll probably go through Friday. So just be aware of that, and be careful down there.
Thanks, Ralph. No offense taken. Mayor Forsley, my favorite mayor as well. No offense to Piazza. Chief, do you have anything else for the board reports?
Yeah, Mayor, I want to mention a little bit about the what the public can expect on the executive order that and the modifications that take effect Friday. But before I get into that, we're about 5 weeks into the stay-at-home order, and really 6 weeks since they had shut down the restaurants. And I really want to commend the Lamont residents and thank them for how they've responded to the stay-at-home orders, and my folks haven't had to intervene or had too many issues from the beginning of this. And we had put out early on a request for assistance in finding PPE and masks for us, and people came through big time to provide those for us. And we have enough masking now to get us through the duration of the crisis. We haven't had a complaint in town that's regarding the executive orders in almost 2 weeks now. So, I want to thank and commend the Lamont residents. A couple of the changes that you alluded to, we've seen a draft of the executive order that will come out on Thursday and extend the stay-at-home orders until May 30th. There'll be an additional 30 days. The primary change that residents are going to see is the request to wear face coverings when in public. If you don't know where to get face coverings, we're working with the Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of local vendors such as Lena's and Ike's that will make and sell those face coverings. But after May 1 on Friday, anyone who over the age of 2 will be required to wear the face covering when in a public place and unable to maintain the social distancing requirements. They'll also be required to wear those face coverings when in any public indoor spaces such as stores. So all the businesses that have been designated as essential and have been operating for the last 30 days, they're going to also be required to provide face coverings for all their employees to wear at work when they cannot comply with the social distancing requirements. So that'll be kind of one of the primary changes. The retail stores that have been essential, such as the grocery stores and our hardware stores, are going to have some additional requirements starting on Friday. They'll have to provide face covering to all their employees. They're going to have to operate at a 50% capacity throughout the remainder of the stay-at-home order, and they'll be required to set up one-way aisles during, in their stores throughout the duration of this, so that folks aren't passing. So it'll be a little bit of an inconvenience moving forward, but folks should start getting used to those things. And again, the face coverings are available from multiple sources. You can even make your own. There's a lot of videos out there on how to make their own. But I expect that, like we have the last 4 weeks, that we're not going to have a lot of issues in Lamont.
Thanks, Chief. And thanks to all the residents as well and our police force. Our first responders do a great job, and they're out there every day. And again, we thank everyone. We're on several meetings with other towns, and trust me, our neighboring or other towns are not as compliant as Lamont. So again, we thank everyone for their for their responsibility in making this go as smooth as possible. Next up, I believe that's it for the staff reports. Do we have any unfinished or new business with on the board side?
I've got one item, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is more for George and Chris. As we look at moving forward with the annual budget rather than the current fiscal budget, I think it'd be good to draft up a schedule of how that would work. The concern I have is that the month of December is also a month of many other celebration type events and cancellations of meetings and those things historically. So I just want to see how that will work, because from Thanksgiving on, it gets pretty tight with things. So I'm just bringing it up because as we plan, I want you to be aware of that, and we'll have to figure out what our workaround will be in order to adopt the budget at that time.
Yes. Yeah, we'll work on it. With typically what we do is the end of December, or like the middle of December to the end, we cancel. By that time, I really would like to be done with the budget. So
Okay.
really, I would say we probably, and we'll work up a schedule, but October would be the
I
time where
agree.
we would have the cows and
Yeah, I agree. It would start, that would be the game plan, would start in October, so that as we approach Thanksgiving, we're about wrapped up.
yes.
And that's what I think. I just want to make sure that we get that in the thought process early, that's all.
Yeah, that will follow the tax levy process as well, which is going to be a good way, because we have to look at the tax levy and then look at the budget as well. So I think it's going to line up a lot better than what we have right now.
Okay, and then as it relates to the to our budget and financials, just one other thing I'd like to bring up. For the first time, you haven't heard too much from Cook County and Chairman Preckwinkle until last week. It was in Cranes. She's concerned about a $200 million shortfall if she doesn't get what she's anticipating getting from the feds. So I don't know what that's going to bring to us, but I just think we need to be aware of that and make sure we're keeping our eye on the ball there, because like I said, Cook County's been kind of silent lately, other than firing 3 of their main medical people, but not on their financial side. Have been really quiet. So, thanks.
Yeah, and Rick, just I think there's a definitely reason why still 50% of the towns are not on a calendar one. It makes all the sense in the world, but it is a little bit of a pain to transition. So yeah, it'll be we'll come up with a schedule, and our trend lines might be a little bit off because of it, but this is such a unique year where it might not matter. And so yeah, we'll come up with that
Right.
schedule. I think it does tie with our insurance years. Our IMRF has a calendar year. Even the police pension, I think we usually get that report in the summer, so we'll be able to prepare for that a little bit.
I have no problem with doing it, and I understand the benefits of it. I just want to make sure that as we plan for it, we consider all the other things that come up towards the end of the year there. That's all.
Yep. And to your point on the other, keeping an eye on where the revenues are, if the state and the cities get revenue from the feds, we're kind of caught up in some political back and forth from a bigger picture level. Hopefully that,
Exactly.
these towns get taken care of. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and bring that up in a couple
Well,
months.
just our flow through monies from Cook County, she might get sticky fingers, and that's what I'm concerned about.
And the state, yes. Thank you.
I had one question regarding, or a concern that's I've heard last month from my neighbors in Rolling Meadows regarding the refinery. Over the past 2 months, there've been I've got several calls regarding the sulfur smells that we used to get like 10 years ago. I don't know if the Odor Alert Network are getting getting ticks or getting calls on this. If they do smell something, who do they call? Is there a certain phone number they should call?
Yeah, Chief, do you have that information? Yeah, the Odor Alert Network they've been the agency that fields those for the last 10 or 11 years, but there might be, Chief, you want to go through that process of who best to call?
No, it's the Lamont Emergency Management is the call to that, and I'll pass along that number. I don't have that off the top of my head right now, what the Lima number is, but Lima's the one that kind of leads in the OAN.
Yeah, and that's good to know, Chief. And if you could pass that along, it's something we can bring up to Citgo as well. The mayor and I have been having conversations with leadership, a lot going on at the refinery right now, obviously. But we need to bring them in the fold on those conversations.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Ken, any other trustees have any new or old business? Okay, next up, George, you want to set the groundwork for audience participation, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yeah, this is this section of the agenda where the audience can participate, similar to even a regular in-person meeting. There's an opportunity to speak. We do have rules that we passed years ago on 3 minutes per person and state your name. But through the Zoom system, basically what we're doing is just the raise your hand feature. If you can click on that, I'll know you want to speak, and then I'll call your name. So I'll just give you a little bit of time to, if you have any comments or questions for the board, I can pull you up and call your name. I don't see any right now, though. I'll give it another second here.
So again, George, to raise your hand to get recognized. you go
Yeah, at
down.
the bottom, if you're struggling with it, at the bottom of the screen or top, there's that Manage Participants button where I have my red arrow. If you click on that, the screen on the right pops up. If you click on the 3 dots where I have my other red arrow, you click Raise Your Hand. So that's basically how you do it if you're following along on the computer. If you are following along on your phone, you can click *9 and it'll raise your hand. And I see Rick Snagowski, but maybe that was from earlier, Rick. I'll lower your hand.
Yes, it was, George.
Okay, I don't see any, Mr. Mayor, so I think we can move forward on the agenda.
Okay, great. Thanks, George. And again, as we continue to have these meetings, at least within the next month, encourage, questions that residents may have. Please feel forward, those via email, and again, we'll recognize those at each board meeting and answer those accordingly. With that being said, no executive session this evening.
Correct.
So with that being said, that's correct. Right, George?
Oh, that's correct. No executive session.
No executive session. Okay, with that being said, need a motion to adjourn, please. Can I get a motion?
So moved, McClafferty.
Second, Kittredge.
Okay, we got a motion by McClafferty, seconded by Kittredge. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.